probably unmute the theme song. Well, I don't need to unmute it. I can see where it is.
Would this be too early in the podcast for just all the Hollywood, like Harvey Weinstein?
We can address it and just be like, these people are terrible people. Like,
yep. Kevin Spacey.
It makes me sad too. Okay, we're coming up on it. Here we go. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of MovieFellas, a podcast where some millennials with little to no knowledge talk about film, both classic and current. Probably mostly just current this week, though. Am I right? Hashtag, am I right? My name is Matt, your special host, but I'm not the special host because I'm the host every week since like episode 8 or whatever episode it was.
I've been the host a time or two.
That's right, you have. My name is Matt, the host, your host this week, and with me is just the one man, the man himself, not Adam Norris. Adam stinks. He ditched us. Haste the David Tool. How you doing, Haste?
Yeah, I'm better than Hollywood.
That's
just gonna rip that Band-Aid off right away.
Let's just go out to our millions of invisible fans and to our about 10 people that actually listen to this. All the people who have been accused or who have done stuff like that sucks, and they're terrible people for doing that. And like, we feel bad for the victims, obviously. Like,
without a doubt.
Yeah, like that sucks. All that stuff, because like what's his name from Pixar? Stanton or something was his name. What's his name? Because I don't want to Pixar. Stanton, maybe?
I got nothing, dude.
Not Nathan Stanton. I don't know who it is. Anyway, he's done he did a bunch of big movies. He was one of the big Pixar dudes, and he got accused of something. Yeah. So, anyway, all that sucks. Sorry to start the podcast on a dour note, guys. We're back for our November podcast. We've been excited.
The last day of November.
Yeah, that's right. We're procrastinators. Am I right?
We'll be better next month.
Yeah, we're gonna get it out before Christmas so we can talk about some sweet Christmas movies. But we're excited to be back, like we said previously, and like we've been doing. We're doing a podcast a month, and I'm personally loving it once a month because it's a way that we get to stay in touch. Because me, Haste, and Adam, we all live in different states, and we're all good friends in college. So it's a cool way to kind of stay in touch, and it's something that we look forward to instead of like, oh man, we got to do it weekly. It's kind of like a grind thing, So. It's just a cool way to do it. So we're really enjoying that. Guys, we're on episode 17 this week, and we'll bring up the topic here soon. But, hey, so you want to get to some news?
I've only got one piece of news, and it's the only news that matters in the world right now.
It better be the Avengers Infinity War trailer. Dude, I've watched it like 17 times. Oh, my gosh. Dude.
I've only watched it once.
Gosh. Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's my first bit of news, guys.
That's the only piece of news that matters this week.
That should just be the main topic for this week. It's not, but it should be. Okay, straight off the bat, yesterday they gave us a teaser saying, hey, we're releasing the Infinity War trailer tomorrow.
I didn't see that.
I saw it. And when I figured that out, I peed my pants. And then I got a new pair, and then I peed my pants again. And then that didn't happen. I have complete control of my bladder. I was like, oh man, this is amazing. And so then I woke up, I was getting ready for work, and there it was. And I was late to work. Haste, what did you think of that?
Not to be too critical of it, but it was honestly kind of what you expect of Marvel, which is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Marvel's got the way they do things, at least for the Infinity War or the Avengers movies, pretty much cut and dry, and how they produce the trailers, what they show us. My one complaint is with this, I kind of feel like they showed us a little too much in terms of things that are going to happen.
See, I disagree. I think that's something, maybe too much as far as what's going on, but we know there's a battle at the end. Probably. We don't even know if that's the end. That's honestly, that's something that I think Marvel does actually really, really well, is you get a taste of what's going on. But what's the plot? We know the basic plot, but like that's the thing with Spider-Man Homecoming. It
kind of looks like the same.
We knew that entire movie beat for beat, because Sony released that, you know. So like,
Yeah, true.
But keep going.
Well, I was just gonna say this isn't
Mm-hmm.
spoilers because I mean, hopefully they've seen the trailer by now. But we see at least Thanos has two Infinity
Yeah.
Stones by one point in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We see Loki, what looks like him handing Thanos the
Yeah,
Tesseract.
which is the Space Stone. So, spoilers if you don't want to know anything about this, but you've probably seen the trailer. It's everywhere. He has two stones. He has the Power Stone, which was on Xandar after Guardians of the
Mm,
Galaxy, and then it looks like Loki is handing over the
the
Tesseract.
Tesseract.
So, what are your thoughts on that? With a little bit of spoilers for Thor Ragnarok as well, because you kind of got to spoil what happens at the end. I have a theory, but I want to hear yours.
Well, obviously we know for a fact that that's Thanos' ship rolling up.
Right.
I think we're kind of gonna hit the point at some point in the movie because we do have that part at the very very end of the trailer
Right.
where Thor is asking, "Who are you guys?" to the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Guardians are somewhere in between gonna get captured by Thanos,
Okay.
and Thor's gonna because obviously Thanos rolls up at the end of Thor Ragnarok,
Right.
and I think it's gonna be Thor meeting them for the first time in that whole interaction because I feel like we're gonna go from where Ragnarok left off, at least in terms of where Thanos is coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and where Thor is at in the Guardians and that, or the Guardians are gonna rescue Thor from Thanos.
Okay.
That's another good, really good
Okay.
idea.
Okay.
And then from there, we're gonna make our way to Earth.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my probably my biggest complaint is it looks like we're getting another kind of
Big CGI army.
giant. Yeah, big. How do you know where I was coming with
Because that's
that?
what every Avengers
Um,
movies has done.
yeah, and I get it. That's gonna be for like the Wakandans to
It's
fight.
gonna be for the people who aren't. It's gonna be for the lower level people. I think.
Yeah,
You know.
so it's pretty much their job in every movie as it is.
Right. And that's true.
Which sucks. It's like, come on, I want to
Something
see
different.
at least Hawkeye go like I want to see Hawkeye go toe to toe with Thanos for at least
a second.
minute.
It's gonna last a second because Hawkeye can't touch freaking Vision, and Thanos is more powerful than Vision, dude. So this is my theory. There's gonna be a subplot, or it's gonna flash between Earth and space, right? And I think that it's gonna be, stuff's happening. Tony Stark had this vision in Age of Ultron. He knows something's coming. He's getting ready.
Yep.
He sees Spider-Man, and what happens is at the end of Thor Ragnarok. This is my theory. It could. I'm pretty positive about this, but bear in mind I'm wrong most of the time, so it's probably not true. All right, so they run into Thanos' ship into Thor Ragnarok. Thanos gets on, and you see a bunch of bodies in the trailer. I think Thanos gets on their ship. He's wiping out Asgardians left and right, and then he like grabs Thor and captures him, and he's like, "Give me the freaking stone, bro." And he's like, I don't have it. And then Loki's like, no, don't kill him. No, kill him. Like, he's getting ready to kill him. And Loki gives him the stone. And then Thanos, like, throws him out into space. And then
I could see that.
Then he meets the Guardians. And then Thanos can just travel wherever he wants because he has a space stone. So he goes to Earth. Boom. I think that's what's going to happen. And then it's going to kick off. Dude, but am I wrong by saying this looks like absolute, like, madness? Like, crazy, like...
This looks like war.
It's exactly like the Infinity War. And like, dude, I remember watching Age of Ultron trailer and being like really, really stoked. I remember watching Avengers trailer being really stoked, but this is like next level. Like,
well, you also have to think this is 10 years culminating into
absolutely
what's going to be what a lot of us believe, and it's pretty much true at this point, that these last two Avengers movies we're getting are the end for a lot of these actors that we've been with for over
these characters
what's going to be a decade now.
We have, like, you were what, 16? I was like 14 when the first Iron Man came out. Both of us loving superheroes. Like, these are characters that we've like grown with,
well, not even just growing up with. These are characters that we've known since we were little, because we grew up during the golden age of them making like Justice League and
the animated
start of the Marvel
stuff.
cartoon.
Yep.
Well, not like the very start, but we were alive during the resurgence of like all the superhero cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah, so these are just and that's why I think like I'm so And I'm so excited because it's Anthony and Joe Russo directing, who did Civil War, who did Winter Soldier, two of arguably the best like Marvel movies. You know, some just fantastic movies, and they know how to direct. And like you compare this tone to like the tone of Thor Ragnarok, it's just completely different, and I'm okay with that. Like we got a really funny action movie from Thor Ragnarok, but I'm ready for a straight up just action drama. You know, like man, it looks
well,
amazing.
and I feel like that's the difference between these group movies and just the solo movies. You look at Civil War, it's a very serious movie.
Right. Same thing with Winter Soldier.
You look at maybe the first Avengers is a bit of a stretch because they put a lot of comedy into that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of more of a brighter movie, but that's because
it was a Joss Whedon, you know.
Well, it was also the fact that a lot of this was still fresh.
Right, that's true.
We're now what? It's been 5 years since
First Avengers.
Almost 6 years since the first Avengers.
Yeah, almost 6 years.
Yeah, and we've come a long way since then. There's been a ton of movies, and it's just crazy to see because Age of Ultron was pretty dark. It's not DC level dark.
I think
it's not DC dark, but I mean,
I think it was more serious in tone than the first one. What I didn't. Yeah, this is we probably should move on with the news, but that trailer was so amazing. I told you
this is the only piece of news that matters,
dude. Yeah, I'm serious. Dude, the design of Thanos, he looks amazing. He looks horrifying. A lot of people were
complaining when they changed him, but he looks
way
scarier.
better. Yeah, he looks way better.
So
he's less slick. He's more like he looks like a giant man. You know.
Yeah, he looks like he's ready to fight and not just be flashy.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we were worried about it at first because they changed the design so drastically. But
you can still tell it's him though. Like if you look at look at it's definitely Thanos. You know, and Josh Brolin sounds amazing as Thanos. Everything just looks fantastic.
Terrifying.
So I'm with you. I'm kind of like another big army, but I feel like it's gonna be more combat. It's more like an actual war. You know, from this perspective. So. I think it'll be fantastic.
We can do, me and you, if we want to, we can do like a half-hour episode in the next couple weeks and just put it up on the channel and talk for like half an hour about it. If we want
let's do that, like theories we have or whatever.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, cool. We'll do a video thing.
Look forward to that. It'll be probably next week.
Yep, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
All right, next bit of news. Coke dominated the box office. It's been doing really, really well. That's the new Pixar movie. It's beaten out Justice League. What did you think of? Have you seen Coco?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I have not seen a movie since Thor Ragnarok. Actually,
well, that wasn't that long ago, so I guess that's not. You haven't seen
honestly,
Justice League?
I don't intend to be quite honest.
You know, I enjoyed it quite a bit actually.
Really?
It was by no stretch a fantastic movie, but I had a good time with it, and it's not. But here's the thing: it's a movie you can sit down and be like, "That was good," and you just kind of forget it. And it's not like Civil War. I remember after watching Civil War, I'm like, "Man, I gotta watch that again," because there's some heavy stuff in that, and you remember it, and you remember like the feeling of anguish, you know, at the end of Civil War and stuff. In like any movie that sits with you, that resonates with you, Justice League was the farthest thing from that. It was just kind of like a fun action flick, you know. And dude, Henry Cavill CGI it's oh my gosh, it's so bad, dude. It looks
just from
like
the trailers,
the
CGI in that movie looks awful.
It's not the CGI it's fine.
Is it better than the trailers?
Yeah, it's a little bit better than the trailers, but not, dude. His face. That movie cost $300 million.
Yep, and that's not even including the
marketing.
Marketing.
I saw estimates they had to hit $600 million to break even.
And it's sitting at $485 million.
It's because it's not that good. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I think I might go. I'll watch it again when it comes out on Redbox or whatever. But it's not, you know, it's not great. And I think that they just squandered. So it's one of those movies where I wish there was more to it. Like Batman v Superman, I was like, just finish already. Gosh, oh my gosh.
Well, that's one thing that made me kind of look forward to this movie, that it did only have a 2-hour runtime.
Right.
But
In this case, though,
it's still enough to save it for me.
Right. In this case, it would have served it better if it was maybe 2:15 with a little bit more backstory. Mm-hmm. Because the cast had good chemistry. You know, it's worth a watch, I think. It's worth a watch.
Maybe I'll check it out.
So, yeah. Anyway, Coco has dominated box office. It's doing better. And there's a reason. And I saw Coco with my fiance and her family after Thanksgiving, and it's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's really heartwarming, especially if you have like grandparents who are aging or parents who are aging. It's really heartwarming. It's about a Mexican singer, and his family hates music, but he wants to get involved with music, and it becomes like a supernatural kind of thing. And it's really heartwarming. It's really cool, and the music and the vocal performances are really, really good in it. So,
no, that's cool. It really, I don't know if you remember, but there was a movie that came out while we were in college called Book of the Dead.
I do remember that.
That I saw while we were there, and it Coco really kind of took me back to that. I mean, the animation and stuff looked really similar, but it does look interesting. The special effects look great, which we all know I'm a huge fan of.
It's a really, really interesting. Like it's a very vibrant world. The world that they go into. Yeah. So
that's cool.
So yeah, it's worth it. It's dominating box office though, because it's better than Justice League. Anyway.
Oh, have we talked about? I mean, I know we'll probably talk about it in the What You Watch and Mate section, but can we talk about how much Thor has made box office real quick? Have we talked about?
Yeah, go ahead, because I should have mentioned that. It's just been a while since it's been out.
Yeah, I don't think we've done the podcast since it came out, though.
No, we haven't. It was like a week before we came out the last time we did it.
Oh yeah, it was.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Thor's budget was 180 million, usually double that for, of course, marketing. So we're looking at a cost of 360 million at the least, but they marketed the heck out of that bad boy. So
yeah, they did.
I don't know, but the box office total is sitting at 700,000 under
700 million.
Yeah. Yeah,
they'd be in a lot of trouble. If
it's 7 million away from 800 million. So
right, 793 million.
Which that's crazy.
That's some good profit. That's good. That's better than the last two Thors, and it's because it's
probably
better
more
than the last two Thors. Yeah, because it's really good.
Hold on a second. Did you absolutely hate The Dark World, or was it just
I thought it was
movie?
Fine. Yeah, it was a throwaway movie. Like the world was ending, and Kat Dennings was like, "Whoop-a-doop, I'm a goofy girl," and like Natalie Portman was like, "We got to do this, this, and this," and he's like, "Yeah, what's up? I'll just throw a hammer." Like it was a throwaway movie. And Natalie Portman, there's a reason she's not in the third Thor movie. She didn't want to do it. Like she doesn't like the Marvel movies, and so
screw her too. Then we don't need her.
Yeah,
it was better without her.
Yeah, we'll talk about Thor Ragnarok and What You Watch and Mate a little more, and we'll talk about spoiler alert, how amazing it is, because it's awesome. Yeah, all right. So Coco's doing well, and it is dominating the box office. Let's see, what's the next bit of news?
I've got a piece of news that I just pulled up.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, this isn't really saying much, but we have our Mulan for the...
That was the next bit of news I was about to announce. Go ahead.
Can you pronounce her name?
Let me look it up, because I'm gonna butcher it if I don't look it up. I think it's Liu is the first name, but I don't know how to. I don't.
Yifei or Yifei?
Yifei. Let's see. Okay, like she has a
pronunciation.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, will tell us how to pronounce her name. It looks like she's been in a lot.
She's also known by Crystal Liu, so I don't know how to pronounce that though.
Hopefully, I'm. Oh gosh, I don't really. Oh, that's what I was getting ready to say. It looks like from her past movies, she's been in a lot of the B rating martial arts movies.
Okay.
So I'm not saying I hope they don't overdo it with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because those movies are super cheesy. I really hope
they won't. There's no way they're going to, because it's the full power of Disney behind it.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't think they will. She looks at, I guess she's 30. Isn't Mulan supposed to be really young? No, Mulan's not supposed to be young. She's supposed to be an adult.
She's supposed to
so
be
that
like
makes sense.
20 or something like that.
Yeah, but
or at
I
least
mean,
18.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she can, play that age. She looks relatively young.
I thought for a second it was the girl from Iron Fist.
Oh yeah.
The facial structure is very similar.
Yeah, she looks the part. She does.
Most definitely. Okay, in the movie,
and she's actually Chinese too. That makes sense.
In
they
the
didn't cast
Disney...
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, thank God. In the Disney cartoon, Mulan is 16 years old.
Oh, well.
Actually, Cinderella is the oldest of the princesses at 19, according to this BuzzFeed article.
Well, they can change. It's not like they can't. Oh, she's 20. Who cares? It's not a. Yeah. It's not a huge deal.
It's not like they haven't already changed someone's original idea around or.
Right, exactly.
Story around, yeah.
But if she has done, it's cool. If she's done those martial arts movies, then she probably has the skills.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Like she's got the martial arts skills. She's done that kind of stuff, which is always cool to, have an actress or an actor who can do, who's realistic in their role.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. My biggest concern with this is, and honestly, Mulan's probably my favorite Disney princess. Just because that's the one Disney princess movie that actually other, if you can really count Aladdin, is the one that's more. I'm not okay. It's 2017 and people can like whatever they want. But when that first came out, I feel like that was the first one that was more directed towards both girls and boys. If that makes sense.
They were pushing to, she was like an action kind of kind of woman, and that makes sense. I'm sure that's what they were pushing.
And I kind of hope they go with PG-13 for the rating, because they
have to.
There's some stuff in the original cartoon Mulan that is not going to translate well into live action.
It can't. There's no way they can do PG, because it's gonna look like. And I love the first two Chronicles of Narnia movies. Actually, they're really good. But his sword is clean the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no blood.
I'm
sure they'll make it PG-13
per se. It's just the fact that the Huns aren't nice.
Right, they're terrible people. Exactly. Yeah.
For instance,
they won't make it R, but they'll make it PG-13. I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt. Just for instance, they have that scene where they kill the entire raiding party and there's two guys left. Or no, they find the scouts and he's like, how many people does it take to send a message? And his one guy's like, one. Yeah. And obviously they shoot one of them. And then there's the scene with the avalanche. Sure. There's the scene with her fighting at the very end against, I don't remember his name for the life of me, the main Hun on top of the Chinese.
Oh yeah, I don't remember him either. Johnny Hun.
Oh gosh. Johnny Tsunami.
Anyway, so hopefully that's cool. I'm excited for Mulan. I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for Aladdin. I love Aladdin. So.
They also announced the Lion King cast since we last did the podcast
that's true.
As well.
That's I'm all for it. I'm sad that Jeremy Irons won't come back as Scar. Yeah. But Chiwetel Ejiofor is pretty awesome.
I'm excited
he'll do a good job.
For good old Donald Glover as
Donnie Gloves. Yeah, dude, that's great. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's move on to last bit of news. Adam Norris is a loser because he abandoned Adam abandoned his podcast. He got free tickets to a show or whatever. Anyway,
he's helping.
Good on you. He's helping whatever. Helping other people.
And his band's going places. So
yeah,
good for
his
them.
band Ephemeral. Check them out. They're talking to some cool peeps about some cool stuff. So check those guys out. All right. So last bit of news. I'm sure you've heard of this. If you listen to this podcast, you've probably seen this. Disney may take over a lot of the Fox movie rights, which includes two very big superhero parties. One being the Fantastic Four, and the other being the X-Men. Now, there's been rumors for literally since forever. There's been rumors forever, especially since the Sony Spider-Man deal. But recently, Disney executives have said, "Hey, listen, we're talking to Fox about getting these characters back." What do you think of that?
Yeah.
You want to see them in the MCU?
Well, Yes, I do. My one concern with all this is Disney's kind of taking over
The world.
everything. Yeah. They're kind of pulling an Amazon and just buying everybody that could be a threat.
The Lord of the Rings. Oh yeah, that's a thing we can talk about. Yeah.
Oh gosh. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm for it, but okay. Is Fox in like a bad place, or are they just going for
You know, I honestly don't
the
know
Marvel characters?
because
We've never seen definitive news. Is it all of Fox, or is it just the?
I've heard it's like all their movie rights. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. But I've also heard it's just Marvel. So I don't know. I do know that the Fantastic Four and X-Men, all their Marvel rights are up for negotiations though. So that is something I know like for sure.
Well, honestly, since we're on the topic of acquisition, Warner Bros. With their current state of superhero movies, and they haven't really done a lot of movies lately, to be quite honest. They're probably in a pretty dire strait
Well, they got
now.
what do they got? They got the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, did you
weirdest
see
name in the world?
Well, no. Okay? Pull up the picture for the new Fantastic Beasts movie.
Right.
The Deathly Hallows are in the title wording.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hold on. What's the name of the movie again?
It's the dumbest. They did not think of this. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I'm sorry, that's the dumbest name of anything I've ever heard.
Okay, so pull up. Do me a favor, real quick. Pull up the title.
Okay.
The picture,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the I in crimes, is the wand. You've got the A in Grindelwald. That is the cloak.
That's
and you've
the
got
cloak.
the G, and then you've got the G. That is the not Infinity Stone. Goodness gracious, the Resurrection Stone.
Oh yeah.
So you do have the Deathly Hallows in there. So
Okay, I'm sure they'll play a part because that was one of the
yeah.
things that
Grindelwald was going for.
Yeah.
Or gunning for. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Which means we're finally getting the Dumbledore versus Grindelwald.
Which is going to be awesome, dude.
Oh, I hope they save that for the third
I'm sure
movie.
I know he's going to be fantastic as Grindelwald.
Okay, this is just me. I hope they make it like the setup and then have the big huge battle be like the entire third movie. Just have 2 hours of those two.
Yeah, just fighting. Just hurling magic at each other, but various backgrounds.
Solid hours.
Just they're in the bathroom hurling magic
have them
at
just
each other.
apparating around the world, throwing fireballs at each other. Oh, I'd probably pay for it, go back, watch it again.
Hey,
and just
it's
do that
Sunday. We're going to mass, hurling magic at each other.
Jeez.
That'd be great. I want to see that now. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Disney taking over the Fox rights.
Oh yeah. Oops.
So if they do that, I'd love to see Fantastic Four, especially. Fox is finally doing something interesting with like the X-Men movies, making New Mutants kind of a horror movie. You know, and they did Logan. Like, so
that looks okay. Not gonna lie, New Mutants looks awful.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but they're doing something different. You know, and they're doing Deadpool, which Fox seemed to be in a better spot than they were a little while ago. So if they do, great. You know, I think that'd be cool. But you know, especially Fantastic Four, X-Men, we'll see. I want to see all the characters together, so of course that's great. Well, let's go ahead and move into the main topic, and the topic for this week, which was suggested by Adam, who's a big loser because he abandoned us. He suggested that we talk about movies. I said, hey, let's talk about maybe movies we're thankful for. You know, Thanksgiving was last week. I ate my weight in turkey. Let's talk about movies we're thankful for. He's like, no. Let's talk about movies that made us thankful for movies. So movies that are like, man, I love movies. I absolutely love everything about movies. So, hey, kick it off with you. We'll start with a few. We'll just run through it, and if we keep talking too long, we'll move on to what you watch and make. But go ahead and start us off.
You want to do just a couple honorable mentions, and then we'll give like our heavy hitters.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Honorable mentions for me. Oh gosh, I can't think of honorable mentions off the top of my head.
I'll give mine.
Okay, you go ahead first.
Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings series. they're an honorable mention, but not my main one, because I think Lord of the Rings was one of the first things that exposed me to just a fantastical, amazing world that was just different and vibrant and so cool, you know. Um, it made me feel like I was somewhere else. You know, it made me have this sense of discovery that, you know, you don't see, you know, you don't get to experience. And when you watch them as a kid, you're like, my gosh, you know, this whole world exists. And that's like the main reason, was the world building and kind of Tolkien's just whole amazing world. So
Yeah. Honestly, those are probably my heavy hitters.
oh really?
Yeah, but that's okay. I'll go into more detail later. I know I've talked about Lord of the Rings a ton on here.
Yeah.
Honestly, my honorable mentions are probably the Harry Potter movies.
That's my next honorable mention.
Well, here let's just dive into it real quick. We can
go ahead.
bounce back and forth off of ideas.
Yeah.
Kind of your idea of the whole world building thing,
Absolutely.
which I think Harry Potter did a great job with, because we spend a great amount of time at Hogwarts alone, but you still feel like a massive world that they're a part of.
It's so immersive, you know?
Yeah, and it's an expansive world inside of what little we get through Hogwarts. But it's mostly through like interactions with people, and it is almost like learning about the world around them from the characters that are talking about it to the actual characters in the book.
Yeah.
And movies, obviously.
Yeah.
Which I watched not Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince last night. Just kind of felt in the mood for it. So, classic. One of my favorites. Dude, of the movies, at least.
Fantastic. Again, it's an immersive world. And I think with us, we grew up at the same time they were coming out. You know, like me specifically, like he was probably more in line with your age when you were younger. And then by the time
I was in the camp of Christians that weren't allowed to read Harry Potter growing up. Well, okay. I'm going to say this once. I hope this doesn't come off as kind of douchey, but I read them in college for the first time.
Right.
But I'd seen the movies like when they came out, not necessarily like at the time, but like all those ABC marathons and stuff.
Right.
I kind of see where my parents were coming from and not wanting me to read those, because they're
pretty dark.
Not necessarily
if you're
kid
not,
friendly.
yeah, no, I mean, especially the later ones, like when it gets to like the fourth one, the third one's kind of on the verge. But I remember going into the fourth one when I think I was 12, and so he was supposed to be 14 at the time. So that was when I was starting to like catch up with his age.
Yeah.
Because I saw the first one I saw in the theaters was the fourth one. That was the first one I saw in theaters. But I had started watching them watching and reading them a while ago. But so I remember going in there, and my cousins were with us, and they were like 19 or 20 at the time. And they were like, "What happened to Harry Potter? He's like an adult." Like, you know, like, because it gets dark, you know, like that third one. If you're like a young kid, especially one who maybe has like nightmares or doesn't like is really affected by the things like things that are kind of scary and dark, and you know, that last one, that fourth one especially, is when it kind of gets, you know, there's the graveyard scene and the dragon, and you know. So I can understand parents, you know, from that point on. As people who listen to this podcast both know, we're both Christians and we have degrees in theology, though. As far as the theological understanding, listen, if you're an adult who doesn't want your kid to read Harry Potter or whatever, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But it's ridiculous. It's
completely understandable.
No. From a theological perspective, it doesn't have anything to do with witchcraft in the Bible is about demonology. In Harry Potter, it's like a superpower, and you know, it has nothing to do with demonology.
Well, I think the one thing that turns people off to the fact that, like, I think I read somewhere that J.K. Rowling actually spent some time in like a coven, and like not like a part of it, but like observing, and a lot of some of the spells that actually like she uses in the book are like variations of actual like witch.
I had heard
spells,
that, but I also heard it from the same source where they're like they also got the names for like Remus Lupin. I'm like, well, that's a star that he got. Also, like Sirius, that's the star, the dog star. You know, like, so I didn't. That may or may not. I don't know. regardless,
Either way, I can still see where my parents came from. It makes total sense.
I get that, like do what you do, but I started reading when I was, I think, right around like 12, and
No,
yeah,
cool.
we grew, yeah, I know, I'm so lucky. But we grew up with the character. I grew up right around the same time, and when that last movie came about, I was just crying at the end. I was like, man, this world completely captured me. All right, what's another one of your honorable mentions?
Mean Girls, obviously.
That made you thankful for movies. Do tell, Haste. Do tell.
Well, it's just such a good comedy.
Okay. So it made you realize, man, I just love watching people treat other people poorly.
Well, no, that's not the case. I mean, if I needed that, I'd just come to you and Norris.
That's right.
And be like, hey, insult me. No, I'm not saying that it was just very real, because it does give a real look at what high school is actually like, for the most part.
Right.
Minus the whole, it's just a realistic look, and it kind of, at least being a guy, it kind of gives explanation to why girls are so just harsh to each other.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I think that's another thing that kind of intrigues me about that movie. But no, I had a huge thing for Amanda Seyfried back in the day. So that's most of the drive.
Right. That's why you wanted to go see it. Fair enough. That's fair enough. All right. Any other honorable mentions?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay.
Kind of the same reason. I was exposed to that movie at a fairly young age.
So was I. Yeah.
So I mean,
why did it make
just
you
a movie
thankful
that I grew up
for
with.
movies?
That was really that was my first exposure to a movie outside of cartoons.
Really? Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah. Well, it's just because I was so young at the time.
Right.
But I just remember so much of it growing up and loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And while there's a lot of crude material in that movie, it's still a movie that you can look at and admire, because it still tells just such a good story.
Right. Which
we don't really get a lot of that in movies anymore. It's just gag reels and
he farted.
Let's see how many. Yeah, let's see how many times Melissa McCarthy can make a raunchy movie.
Right.
And we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me was one of the last bastions, at least of the time, that was a great, just all around movie.
Okay. All right. I'd say just a couple more for me before we get into our main movies. Jurassic Park, I think, is a big one because it made me horrified. And I remember just wanting to watch it, and I would stay awake at night. I'd be like, dinosaurs are going to get cloned and they're going to come back. I was convinced in my mind. I had no doubt in my mind that dinosaurs were going to get cloned and come back and eat me. I mean, that was my main fear as a child. So
let real talk real quick about the first Jurassic Park movie. You remember the scene where the girl goes down to, I think, the breaker or whatever, and is looking for something, and the velociraptors are smart enough and they throw the black dude's arm over her shoulder.
Yeah.
That traumatized me as a kid.
I mean, it's horrifying. That movie is still horrifying. I mean, when they're opening the locks and they're just in, Spielberg did such a good job at creating such intense, just edge of your seat cringe. My gosh, something could
yeah, he wasn't playing games,
and he recreated these dinosaurs and he made them just look horrifying, and the special effects still hold up today. They still look amazing.
Well, the thing about the special effects back then was they were animatronics.
Some of them were, but there were
the T-Rex was a giant animatronic.
But there were a lot of scenes where it was fully CGI, and that was 1993 CGI.
Well, I think what makes it so good is the fact that CGI was so new then, that it wasn't polished, so it just made it look realer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because everything these days is just so rendered and everything like that it just looks polished. And
there
pristine.
are obviously shots in that movie where it's like well, that's very clearly CGI, you know.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
with the close-up ones, they didn't push the technology beyond where it was at. You know what I'm saying? Like the close-up shots were all models, but there's a shot where the T-Rex is in the rain and it's dark and it's a fully CGI shot and it just looks fantastic still. You
Hmm.
know.
Oh yeah, without a
So,
doubt.
all right. So Jurassic
I
Park.
still think one of
Go ahead.
well, hold on, one other thing. One of my favorite parts of that entire movie is when Newman from Seinfeld gets eaten by the acid spill
Yeah.
thing,
And he's
where
just the
it's just
worst
it's
guy.
chilling outside the door and he just gets
He
eaten
also
alive.
created the best meme.
It's
See, nobody cares.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
My last honorable mention is probably the Bourne movies, um, specifically.
Except for the most
Yeah,
recent
no,
one.
not that one, or the Jim Renner one, which I didn't hate. I thought it was all right, but the first Bourne trilogy, it just made
Mm.
me realize that action movies are awesome, and it just made me thankful for intense, heavy hitting, fast paced action movies. So,
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
all right, Hayes, let's get your heavy hitter. What movie made you more thankful for movies than any other movie ever to movie?
Oh man. Um. Okay, don't hate me. I'm gonna throw in one
Right.
more honorable mention. All the Daniel Craig
Okay.
James
Okay.
Bonds, but I feel like we've talked
Why?
about
Why
those
do they
enough
make you
that
thankful for
not
movies?
everybody knows why. Because it shows that people are willing to go above and beyond and do spy movies in
Okay.
a different way. Because they're similar to the Bourne movies because they're action packed, but there's still just enough noir in it that you're like,
Right.
yeah,
Okay. I feel
I
you.
can get
I
behind
feel you.
this. Yeah. All right, I'm not gonna give like the entire series obviously because I
Hmm.
said Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna have to go with
Okay.
Return of the King for my heavy hitter. And I feel like I've talked about it before, so I'm not gonna go too long wind about it just because I mean if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Um, I still remember the very first time I saw Lord of
Hmm.
the Rings. I was about 10 or 11 when the first movie came out.
Hmm.
Actually, it was 2003, correct?
2001 when the first movie came out. So
Oh
you
gosh,
were, yeah,
I would have been 9. I
great
was
age.
9 actually. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
pushing 10 at the time, and we were in we were on our way to visit my dad's family in
Hmm.
California, and we stopped like in the middle of the desert in just like this small town one
Hmm.
night, and it had just come out, and my parents were like, "Oh yeah, we have nothing to do since we're not near family yet. Let's just go to the movies." And my mom and sister, my sister was I think
Uh huh.
16 at the time, went and saw Vanilla Sky.
Okay.
Apparently that was a grave mistake, but at least from what I understand, I've
Right.
not seen Vanilla Sky and don't intend to. But my dad was like, we'll go see this," and he sat me down in the theater next to him, and it was Lord of the
You
Rings.
just went for a brisk movie watch for 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, for 3 hours as a
Yeah.
9-year-old with probably a terrible attention span. And there's some parts of that movie that for a
Did you
nine
just
year
go?
old
Oh, the
are
first one, not Return of the
terrifying.
King. Okay, you're talking about Fellowship.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, I'm setting up the
Okay, go
whole
ahead.
as a whole. Um, so you just sitting there in the theater, I still remember so much of that movie from like seeing it in the theaters. I remember when the cave troll
Hmm.
showed up for the first time, which as a kid you're like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest freaking thing ever. How terrifying the Moria
Yep.
orcs were. How terrifying Bilbo Baggins was. He went all ghouly for a
Hmm.
second, as well as Galadriel when she had her little power trip for a hot second there. And then getting to that part at the end of the movie where Boromir's getting killed by alerts, and you're just like,
Yep.
this is so intense. But then Aragorn comes in and just destroys him, and you're like, yeah, that's what I like to see. But yeah, it's just the fact that that was that's probably one of the like I know this probably sounds terrible, but that's one of like the few childhood memories that I like actually still
Right.
fully can remember. I mean, everyone always talks about being able to remember things that happened to them when they were a kid, but like I'm not one of those people. I've got select things here and there that I can think of, but I'm not like I have all these childhood memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's scarce stuff here and there, and that's one of the few things that I actually do remember to this day was seeing the first Lord of the Rings, which is a long freaking
Yeah,
time
dude.
ago.
Yeah, it's been 16 years.
But I remember, yeah, and I remember sitting in the going. I still remember the theater we went to for the second one because it's closed now, obviously, and they tore it down a long time ago. But I remember going to see that. I remember sitting in the theater that's actually still up for. That shows how long it's been since the second movie came out. This theater I saw it in got torn down since then, and I remember going to see the third movie, and the third movie's a grind. The third movie's 3.5 hours, regular cut, and just usually movies that long, outside of maybe, okay, I know we're gonna get some flack for this, but Blade Runner, that's another long movie, but movies that long have to be gripping and engaging to be able to hold your attention for that long. Return of the King, even the extended version, which is 4 hours, is something I can sit down and watch without boring. Any like form of question.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because that's why. Because you know it's not going to be boring.
If there's not something story-wise going on that's completely gripping, visually something is capturing you. Peter Jackson, I mean, it's considered, that trilogy is considered one of the greatest trilogies of all time for a reason. The Return of the King, The Return of the King won 11 Academy Awards. It's tied for the most decorated film of all time with Titanic.
What's the first? Is it Gone with
Titanic
the Wind?
and Ben-Hur. It holds the record for both of them. So,
Gone with the Wind is still the highest
adjusted for inflation,
ever, right?
yeah, still. Which I don't know how, but
yeah, that's what I thought.
It must have been at a time when money was worth
cheating.
just a lot more than it was or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know what the highest grossing film unadjusted for inflation is? Do you know what it is? It's Avatar. It's Avatar.
What? I don't know what that movie is. What are you talking about? What if we unadjusted that for inflation? If it would just be worth
$12,
$5.
$12 in a pack of Mentos.
$12. Pack of Mentos. Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
But yeah, you sit down and can, at least for me, and obviously it seems to be the case for you, that Return of the King is just such a gripping story because, again, it's a culmination of the other 6 hours we've sat through, just seeing the story play out. And don't get me wrong, I don't want this to make me sound like an awful critic, but I can't read the Lord of the Rings books.
Dude. I've tried
too much
so much
for me. I feel like we almost need a reinterpreted English version of
the
Lord of the Rings movies, because it is just such a hard read, because Tolkien in the 40s, late 40s when he was writing it, was just such
He's a linguist. He's one of the few actually accomplished linguists. Like, he created like 6 full languages, like entire languages.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good to see that something, at least from our perspective, can be so well at telling the story that we don't necessarily need to read the books.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, people would disagree, I'm sure, but guess what? I've tried so many times.
I've the only book in that series that I'm able to read multiple times is The Hobbit.
A lot shorter,
it's a kid's book. It's an easy read.
It's a lot shorter too. So,
well,
that.
Yeah, and I mean, what were you gonna say? Sorry,
I was just bringing up the whole Amazon deal, which I've heard that it's Amazon. For those who don't know, Amazon struck a deal with Tolkien Estate. They are going to be making a Lord of the Rings TV series, but apparently it's going to be set before the original trilogy and after The Hobbit, which apparently that's what people have talked about. Because when you talk about, like, let's say they're like, oh, we're gonna redo Lord of the Rings, okay, that's fine.
Please never.
But it's just like saying, yeah, we're gonna redo the original trilogy of Star Wars. It's different with Lord of the Rings because they're based on books, right? So we're gonna redo the books. We're doing, it's something different. But that trilogy is so foundational in film that I'm glad that Amazon is doing. They're like, hey, we're not going to try and redo this thing. This was done beautifully. Let's do, something different. So I think it's good. What?
You know what I want from them in doing that? I want a Merry and Pippin, like,
Merry
buddy cop-esque. I just want a Merry and Pippin-esque comedy.
Somebody stole my tobacco pipe.
Somebody stole Farmer Maggot's crops, and it's just Merry and
Pippin buddy cop
all the time.
Wait, who's the
not necessarily buddy cop per se, but
the one,
shenanigans.
Who's the loose cannon cop? Is that Merry or Pippin?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Pippin because you never know what he's gonna do.
He's a loose cannon.
Mary's the more.
He's the by the
Mary's
rules.
the more level.
Yeah,
he's the level-headed
by
guy.
the rules.
And Pippin's kind of flying by the seat of his pants all the time.
He's too old for this stuff.
Actually, I feel like they'd almost both be the loose cannons.
That. You gotta have the loose cannon, then you gotta have the by the rules guy.
And that's when Frodo just shows up and like, you guys need to stop. That's what it would be. It'd be both being loose cannons at the end of the and then the end of the episode. Every time Frodo shows up, and just like, you need to chill.
We want one movie. You're so selfish, dude.
Or Gandalf just showing up and be like, you guys are
fools. Dude, I want to see the adventures of young Gandalf, like young Gandalf adventures.
Oh, that'd be cool. I want to see the
Isn't he
the
like?
mages
Isn't he
too.
like an angel? I don't. There's that lore is so rich. I've tried to read up on it, but he's like an angel, isn't he?
All of the mages are essentially like, not necessarily deities per se, but they're kind of like just
they're like archangels or
of
something.
The world.
Yeah,
essentially. And Gandalf, obviously being the only one to be brought back, is the more like, not necessarily Christ-like character, but the holier of the archangels.
Right.
Because there's 5 collectively, I do believe.
Gandalf,
there's
Bandalf,
Radagast,
Gandalf, Landolf, and Josh.
You're done. Okay, but in all seriousness, there's Radagast, there's Saruman, there's Gandalf, and then apparently there's 2 twins, are the last 2, and I think they're both they're blue. I don't know what that would equate to, but it would be cool. It would be cool to get just like all of them, the mages, and see the ones. I don't know if they're in the Silmarillion. Yeah. I get the feeling they are, but it would just be cool to get like pieces in between.
Yeah, see, I'd really like to see more of that lore, like more of the world, you know?
Yeah. Why is Radagast the way he is?
Why is he always high? You want to see an adventure of Radagast's drug addiction?
It made sense.
a gritty crime thriller where Radagast is a drug dealer and Gandalf has to take him down.
Yeah, it'd be Breaking Bad 2.0.
Breaking Radagast.
He would be Walter White.
Walter the White.
Oh my gosh, I quit this podcast. Well, everyone, this has been episode 17 of MovieFellas. I'm signing off forever because I'm gonna go sit in the bathtub
New Line
and drop
Cinema
a
or Amazon, whoever. All right, this is what we want to see. We want to see a gritty crime thriller with Radagast as a drug dealer and Gandalf as the cop who's trying to take him down. That's what we want.
Goodness gracious!
Okay,
what madness.
Finish that with
here. I'm just gonna wrap up real quick because like I said, the last movie is just so amazing and visually stunning, and obviously, I mean, I know it's the bookend of like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it does such a good job of wrapping it up without adding too much fluff.
Absolutely.
Because the movie literally ends the exact same way the book does, which most books usually don't try to aim for. They just kind of end it their way. But literally the last pages of The Return of the King are Sam sitting down, getting his daughter on his lap, kissing Rosie, and being like, "I'm home."
And Frodo sailing off to the
that scene when they send Frodo off.
I want to know how that.
Was a hard watch
every time I watch that, I cry. I can't, dude. I want to know how the Undying Lands work, because like, can anyone go there? Like, apparently.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, here's one other thing that I wonder if you see the emotion between all the hobbits at the end of that movie when Frodo's getting set off. I almost wonder if that was like the real raw emotion of all of them kind of coming to the realization that like you see with the Harry Potter movies, you see all of the kids realizing they're done. I wonder if that was like the real emotion for all of them, realizing that
Right.
they were done after a decade almost of
Yeah, I
making
mean they
the
started in
Lord of
like,
the
well,
Rings
not
trilogy.
like 6 or 7 years. I think they started in like 97 or
Yeah,
96 or something, getting everything together and filming it.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean absolutely. All those actors are great actors, they still are. They're popping
Hmm.
up here and there. Good old Sam Gamgee
I don't think I've
popped up in
seen.
Stranger
I
Things.
don't think I've seen. I don't think I've seen Pippin in anything.
I'm trying to think. No, I haven't seen him in anything.
Oh, we need to when you get to what you watching, mate. I've got a theory about good old
Okay.
Bill from
All
Stranger
right.
Things.
Well, let me move on to my heavy hitter. No, dude,
Your
you're
turn.
good.
Sorry for
We're only
taking
an
so
hour in.
freaking long. Jeez, I went
We're good.
forever.
We only do podcasts once a month. If you're listening, you're roped in. All right. You can last an hour and a half or
True.
whatever this is going to. Deal with it.
It's
I
gonna
was
be at least
between
probably an hour and
two.
45
I'm
minutes.
going to mention one more honorable mention because I almost decided on this one. I was going to do Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, which is the full name of that movie. Spider-Man: the original Spider-Man, which is the full name of that movie, is the name of that movie. The first
Can I
Sam.
get that again, please?
Dude, you don't have that
Can you
copy of
repeat
the
that?
Blu-ray? I got it. The first Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I'll give that as an honorable mention. I'm not going to say it fully. I saw that when I was 7, I think. See that 2012, 15. I'm 15 years from under. I'm 23. So I was 8, probably 7 or 8.
When did the
2012
movie
or
come out?
2002.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I would have been.
Yeah, so I was like
19,
7 or
okay.
8. And I remember just being blown away by it. I was like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man's real. I want to be like Spider-Man. I want to be Spider-Man. He's so cool. But the reason I like, and again,
Yeah.
it made me thankful for movies because it made me realize that a character could be more than he's just this dude who doesn't have any money, but he is this larger than life character when he puts on the suit and when he becomes, when he has the powers and everything. And the reason I didn't choose that is because I think I was too young to really appreciate movies as they are and what they can be kind of there for.
Yeah.
It was just, wow, this is so amazing. And I've watched it recently. And yeah, the fight scenes don't hold up that great. And Green Goblin looks like a Power Ranger. But it's still a really good movie. The story still holds up. It's still
Yeah.
really cool. My heavy hitter I'm choosing is Iron Man.
Okay. Yeah. I
And
can see
the
that
reason is I remember going to the theater when I was 14. I didn't really know who Iron Man was. I knew of him, like he was a B-list character in Marvel Comics, and I hadn't read many comics.
Oh yeah, he really was.
We'd be at a store or something. I'd beg my mom to buy me a comic, and it was just very occasionally that I would read one, and it was always Batman or Spider-Man or something. So when I went and watched Iron Man, I was just like, superhero movie. Yeah, great. I'm gonna watch this thing. It's gonna be great. I was blown away. I was like, dude, he is cool. The rock and roll music's playing, and he's flamethrowering guys. Yeah, exactly.
AC/DC.
And I remember walking out of that and being like, I gotta see that again. I saw that movie 4 times in theaters. Like, I used all of my lawn mowing money to go watch that movie as much as I could. I was 14, I think, at the time. Yeah, because I'll be 24 whenever, Infinity War comes out. So, it was right on the cusp of me, like, kind of becoming my own person, getting into high school. And what I loved was the character. For those of you who don't know me, I thought I was God's gift to mankind growing up. And that is something that I struggle with. Okay, I
don't
struggle with
mistake
humility.
yourself.
I think a lot of people do. A lot less so.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Now,
see, I can
that's
call
right,
you out on that
correct.
because I'm your friend.
Don't call me out on it. Other people. But, I thought it was so cool and awesome. And, Iron Man, he was so cool and he was awesome. Like, he had all the girls, he had all the cars, all the money. And in a second, it was all gone. And he was on the verge of dying, and he found humility in this. And he's arguably still finding humility throughout this whole thing because he created Ultron and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, this was before even, this was at the beginning. They didn't really know what they were doing, but they tried to create this universe. Aside from that whole thing, Iron Man had an amazing story. This guy, not humble. He's like struggles with drinking, well, not really much in this movie, more in the second one. But, you know, like, he's just like a partier, and he realizes, hey, I'm not the best thing in the world. You know, people are doing a lot of bad stuff with the stuff I'm making, so I'm going to start doing what I do for good. And so the story is great, and not only is the story great, but, you know, all the characters are played so well. They make you empathize with him, even though he's like a jerk half the time to everyone. You know, like, he's mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But ultimately, I think what
Yeah.
made me Iron Man made me like so thankful for movies is the character of Iron Man. And like when I was younger, like I was afraid of a lot of stuff. Which is funny because I'm a pretty big guy. People know me. I'm a weightlifter and stuff. But I'm not like an intimidating person when you talk to me. Clearly, you can hear my voice. I sing tenor.
No, you're
so. But
well, kind of to build off what you're saying about just the first Iron Man as a whole is. I hope this doesn't sound wrong, but you didn't walk out of that movie just wanting to be Iron Man.
Absolutely,
you walked out wanting to be Tony Stark too.
Yeah.
Which may be
he's not a bad guy. Like, he's not a good guy.
And a drunker. Yeah, but he's not a good guy, but he's not necessarily a bad guy. That's the weird thing about it. He's such a real character, and he's like the first exposure we got to superhero movies that outside of Spider-Man. Outside of Spider-Man in that awful Hulk movie that we never talk about. Wow, I just blacked out with hatred for that movie. We get that sense of this is the kind of person that I aspire to be, but I know what not to do.
And that's something that's interesting because Superman, he always does the right thing. I mean, arguably Henry Cavill doesn't because Zack Snyder doesn't know how to direct a superhero movie. But
and then the 2009 Hulk movie we got was him literally just being angry and punching everybody in the face because. But
what I was saying is
messing
like
with him.
But Spider-Man, you know, Spider-Man has struggles. You know, he doesn't have much money. He's trying to be in school. You know, the Spider-Man movies we had seen at that point, but he's always a good guy. Like he almost always makes the right decisions. You know.
And he even goes out of his way to make the right decisions so much that.
But Tony Stark is even though you can't relate to him, most people can't because some people do probably have billions of dollars. But I argue you don't have an electromagnetic suit or whatever it's called. I'd argue you don't have nightmares. Anyway, he's a guy who you're like, yeah, you're not always gonna make the right decisions. Sometimes you're just gonna get really ticked off and fly to the Middle East and blow up a bunch of tanks, even though you're not allowed to, but you're going to do it anyway. You know, like he is, even though you can't relate to him from that perspective, from like perspectives of his money and stuff like that, you can relate to him and be like, yeah, this dude he's just a dude realizing he made some mistakes. Now he's just trying to be better, you know? And like you said, you relate to him, but you understand that he's not like the best guy. Yeah, he's still a douche to people.
Well, even still, like even through that movie alone, we see the character progress of him evolving rapidly because he's like, okay, this is my father's mistakes. I'm dealing with the sins of my father, and this is how I'm gonna fix it. And he may be that guy that's like, I'm not gonna make the right decisions because I don't care. I'm freaking loaded and I can get any woman in the world that I want. But he's like, screw this. I'm cleaning things up, and while again not making the right decisions.
Right.
He has good intentions.
And that, I mean, you go on with the phrase "the road to hell is paved with good intentions," and you've seen that throughout the progression of the characters through his movie in Civil War. You know, he wanted to protect the world, so he made Ultron, killed a bunch of people. You know, so he tries to, and you kind of think
that's kind of like the ultimate culmination of him trying to right.
You know, he's like this guy. You're like,
ever done.
Wow, he's kind of a douche. He's trying though. You know, like he's trying to do what he thinks is best. Does that always work out? And it's the same thing with people. You know, like, do I always do what I think's best in my job or like my personal life? No, like I don't. But a lot of times I really, really try. You know, like I try to do what I think is best based on the knowledge that I have. You know, and just in that first Iron Man, you kind of see that happening. You know, he's a dude who realizes the mistakes he's made and he's trying to be better. No, he's not perfect. And that's what I love about it. That's why I think Iron Man made me love movies, is because of the characters. And one other thing I brought up briefly that I want to get back to, with like Spider-Man in the comics, his eyes are really expressive, and they do this with Iron Man as well in the comics. You can see his eyes through his mask, you know. But in the movie, and I talked about how like I was afraid of a lot of stuff when I was younger, and I don't know why. I had like I was like really worrisome, you know, as a kid, and the mask is just it's an iron mask. It's unmoving. It's got this permanent, not frown, this permanent like blank, angry like a snarl in it, you know, and you don't see any expression. It's this blank, unmoving, unfearing, you know, mask of judgment, you know, and it's like that's what I want to be, you know. In certain cases, you want to be someone who is unmoving and just iron into the ground. And I was like, yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah,
Exactly.
especially in terms of doing it is right.
And even though some of the stuff he doesn't do is like great, you know, he, like he says in the second Iron Man, he's like, I've successfully privatized world peace. You know, he's done what he thinks is right, and a lot of it's good. Some of it's not great. But, you know, the characters, I saw this progression of a person, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of how people are, you know? So.
Well, I think one other thing that the original Iron Man did, actually all the Iron Man did well, was that, yes, you do have that outer scowl, you have that angry, just, I am here to do what needs to be done, take care of it, and go. We do see inside the helmet, and it adds humanity to
absolutely.
Iron Man. I mean, take for instance a lot of the other superheroes, like, we don't get emotion out of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man without him taking off his mask, which granted he does a lot, but we don't get that level of it. We don't get a lot of it from the other superhero movies where their masks or faces are covered, because there's just no emotion to get. And then adding that extra layer of this is what it's looking like inside the helmet. Granted, that originally kind of made me kind of claustrophobic.
Right, so close to his face,
we were just so close to his face back then. But I can't imagine what it would feel like to be inside of that suit. Ugh. But yeah, it adds. I know we've probably said this a million times. Though it adds a level of humanity to Tony Stark.
He's not a perfect dude, but he's trying a lot of the time, you know. And that's how everyone is, and I love it. And that's those characters, that character specifically, and that's why like these are like, people think like it's just another superhero movie. Infinity War is like the culmination of everything, and Tony Stark's realizing, man, I've done some bad crap, and this is like the ultimate test, you know. Anyway, that's my main one. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King was yours. I think they're both fantastic movies. You want to move on to what you watching, mate?
Yeah, I get the feeling what you're watching, mate. It's just going to kind of go back to.
All right. Well, before we get back to before we talk about Ragnarok and the Infinity War trailer. What else you watch? TV or anything?
Yeah, I've been actually pretty much watching.
Really?
Every
Okay.
DC
How are they?
show
Because I have not kept up at all. Okay.
I don't watch Legends of Tomorrow.
Wasn't there a big like crossover? I saw a picture of like all the characters.
Yeah, it's a 3-part event actually, which just ended last night with The Flash, I believe. But it's essentially their version of the Avengers on TV. I'm not fully caught up yet, but I'm in the current seasons for everything. I obviously saw Thor Ragnarok. I've mostly just been kind of laying around the house watching Netflix and stuff like that. I watched Stranger Things. It took me like an extra 3 or 4 days after it actually came out to get into Stranger Things, just because I was so busy. But watched Stranger Things the week before last. I started Gotham. I'm halfway through the first season of Gotham.
I've heard so many mixed
really
things
enjoy
about
it. It is. It's definitely got its problems, but It's on Fox, which, I mean, Fox is kind of like
Right,
the
right.
edgy TV show. I'm kind of
Really?
surprised
Okay.
with some of the stuff they're able to get away with on it. Yeah, it's gritty.
Okay. Okay.
It's pretty intense. But
Yeah.
Stranger Things was great. You want to just talk
We
about
kind of
that for a
talked
hot
about it
minute since we both seen
last
it?
podcast, but I mean, oh really? Okay. I mean, I
I don't
really
think I'd
enjoyed it.
seen
I
it
don't think
yet.
I enjoyed as. Actually, I think I might have enjoyed it more than
Hmm.
the first season. I really enjoyed the first season. I didn't think it was the most amazing thing, like a lot of people did. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I think the second season
Yeah.
was
Oh
really
yeah.
good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I enjoyed learning more about the characters. One thing I'd like to see with the third season is more
Yeah.
exploration of the Upside Down and like what it is, kind of, you know. So
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
all about that world building.
Well, one thing I really like, other than that one episode where she goes to Chicago, which everyone seems to
I hate that episode. It was so dumb.
kind of loathe, which I get it too. But I like what it
The
did.
more
It introduced
characters.
us to the other. Yeah, but every other character minus the other girl from the hospital is pretty much worthless. The scene. Okay,
Spoilers for
this is
Stranger Things
spoilers
season
ahead,
2.
just for everybody. Yep. That scene in, I think it's almost the end of the season, where they're interrogating the monster inside
Uh huh.
Will in the barn. That is probably
It
one of
is
the most
really intense.
intense, well shot, just heavy. That's probably one of the best. Like, I don't know. It was probably what, a 10 to
Yeah,
15 minute
and it
sequence.
was really cringy.
That is probably some of the most amazing cinematography I think I've ever
Really? Okay.
seen,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy to think about. Just because it's just because it was so intense and serious, and you could feel the emotion, which you
Right.
can't usually get out of television shows. But they just made it seem
Yeah.
so real,
I
at least
remember
to
it
me.
being
But
not cringy
yeah,
in a bad way,
that's
just
just my
like,
thought
oh
on that.
man, like you want this to be
Yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
you're like,
makes you feel
please
kind of
just leave.
hopeless. Uh huh.
Good actor, that kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and honestly, that season as a whole,
I think
I
I
think it
enjoyed it
blows the
more.
first one out of
Yeah.
the water. Just in. Oh, it also kind of sucks that, at least until the very end, the whole Nancy trying to cover or get Barb's death, like, actually out in the open.
Yeah. Well, you
They
think
kind
so?
of wasted a lot of
I
time
didn't
on
waste
that.
that much time. I guess there was a lot. Yeah, that actually
I,
was a lot of time. I didn't realize that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They get a whole episode for her and I can't
Creepy
remember his
dude.
name.
Creepy
Her
cameraman.
later love interest.
The one who's been
Yeah,
like arrested for cocaine or
and then
whatever.
you get the one that everybody,
Gosh.
and then you
Good
get
hair.
her original lover. I can't
Good hair
again.
guy, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, good hair guy.
Yeah, he's
He
like a great
becomes
man.
the
Like he
best
turns into
babysitter
you think he's
of
gonna be
the
the worst human
century.
being, and then he turns into like the
Yeah,
greatest human being.
especially after Nancy leaves him, and you're like, this
But I
guy's
know.
just gonna go
He ends
huge
up being
douche
an
mode
amazing
again, like he did
person.
originally. And then you get the jock that came in
The
and
Red
kind of
Power
took over
Ranger
his
with the
spot,
bad
and you're like,
mullet.
man, this guy's a douche. Yeah, yeah, and then you get that interaction
You
between
know
him
why
and his
he's that
dad,
way?
and
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
like,
I
I feel
think they
sorry
did a
for
good
this guy
job
now.
with that. You know.
Yeah.
Um.
Hmm.
You think? Yeah.
I
Okay.
kind of wish we'd gotten that sooner, because that happens like
Right.
in the ninth or
Right.
10th episode of the season, and you're just
And
like,
you still
man,
do.
I spent all
You
this
still don't
time
like him
hating
because
this
he's not a
guy,
good
and now
guy,
I'm
but
just
you
like,
understand why he is the way he is.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
He's not just a douche
but
for no
yeah,
reason.
you
Yeah.
understand where he's coming from. Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And he
Right.
like he cries at that point because his dad hits him, and it's just like, man, we get you.
Right.
You're still
Absolutely. Yeah.
a jerk, but
Yeah, I
we
enjoyed
get
it. I
you.
thought it was great. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Watched Half Blood Prince last night. I got that off the table.
December
No,
14th.
no, I haven't really been doing a whole heck of a lot.
What?
I'm gonna have to wait to the 15th. I won't go see it without my dad, and him and my mom and a couple of their friends are going to
Oh,
um,
okay. Fair
Mannheim
enough.
Steamroller.
I guess that's fair
The
enough.
Christmas
Well, I'll be
thing.
seeing it December 14th in IMAX. The Last Jedi.
But it's okay. It's okay because I've
Really?
still stayed away
Okay, I've
from
only
every
seen
trailer
two, the
for The
first two,
Last
and then I'm
Jedi.
like, no more,
Yes.
no more at all.
Well, I guess I did. I I started to see the trailer for. I think the most recent one, what
Yeah.
everyone played in front of Ragnarok at my theater. But I realized what it was, covered my eyes, and plugged in my ears at the same time. And like, no, you stop this right
Yeah.
now.
There you go.
It's like, because I'm not
Good.
getting this crap spoiled for me.
Well,
And I know I say this all the time, but
the
the more
better.
I
Absolutely.
don't
I
watch
absolutely
trailers, the
think that.
better movies get.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Obviously, we got The Last Jedi coming up. I think it's going to be fantastic. Recently, it was announced. Go ahead.
When is Fantastic
2019,
Beasts
I think.
Part 2 coming out? Is that next winter?
Hold on, let me check.
2019?
Fantastic
Don't play these
Beasts:
games
The
with me.
Crimes of. It's the worst name ever created. It's just such a no. November 2018. We got a year.
That's a
not
long
that
time
long.
between movies. That's 2 years. I know.
Yeah,
but
we did.
got pretty much a new Harry
I'm
Potter
sure they
every
were
year.
workshopping things, and they finally kind of decided a vision. And so now that they've kind of decided the vision, they,
Yeah.
yeah,
The official
yeah.
release date is the 16th. I
Yeah.
don't know if you said that.
I'm sure it'll be good. David Yates is a great director. He's
No, it's going to be
done
so
some of
good.
the best Harry Potter movies.
Mhm.
What else you watching? Anything else?
No. I'm going to start at least plunging on through Gotham once the month ends, because I kind of
nice.
burned through a lot of our internet. We've got a whole terabyte to
my
go
gosh,
through, and we're
nice.
like 80%
That's awesome.
because of me. Yeah, I burned through 800 gigs of, well, streaming's like, I think a gig or a gig and a half an hour. And you got to think, all of Stranger Things is, because I think I watched part of it the start of November, and that's a good 6 or 7 episodes, so that's a couple
My
gig,
goodness,
and
dude.
just, yeah, I've been
Slowly
destroying
you've
the internet.
killed it.
Slowly.
Nice, dude. Well, cool. Well, I've been watching. I'm almost done with Punisher. It's all right. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah,
pretty,
I'm
it's
not
pretty
finished with
good.
that either.
There's not as much
forgot I have
action
to
as
finish
I
that
like.
too.
I'm sorry. Like, it's a Punisher series. I want more action. That's what he's about. The drama is interesting, and
Yeah.
they I
Well-
get they do the PTSD stuff, and that makes sense. I just, if they continue it, which they probably will, because it's been relatively popular, I don't want more of the PTSD soldier stuff. Like I think it's good that they did it because it makes sense, but they focus so
Yeah.
heavily on it.
And, well, not to defend it too much, but
Right,
that's
and I guess
something that's
that is
becoming
true.
more and more of a problem in America. And I'm glad it's getting the publicity it's getting, because it literally, that, from what I understand and how it's explained,
Right.
that's pretty much exactly what it's like, which is terrifying to think about. It's sad that even people that don't experience war, that have PTSD, go through similar
Right, like I remember
things,
Adam
which
Driver, who
is
was
sad.
he was in the Marines, and then he got injured like a week before his battalion shipped out. Adam Driver, for those of you who don't know, plays Kylo Ren in Star Wars, and he went through like a ton of like guilt because he's like, I can't be with the people I train with. I'm supposed to be, fighting with them. So he went through like a ton of guilt. Yeah, he went through like a ton of guilt, and he wasn't
I didn't know
able
that
to
about
because he
him.
got injured. So like things like that. So like I don't want to downplay that. That's obviously a really big issue. And I understand why they're doing that because he's relatively new. It's relatively fresh, still in his mind. But I'm hoping after they do this kind of thing, I just wish there would have been more action. And I'm hoping that after they do this, they kind of push into the more comic book Punisher,
I feel like they kind of had to start somewhere, because he wraps up his at least entire backstory in the Daredevil, and we see him like finishing the job at the very start when he runs over those bikers. And I mean, outside of that, that's really the end of his backstory. other than the PTSD and stuff like that. So I feel like they're using this as a springboard to go forward, and it's hopefully, as long as people don't pull what they did with The Walking Dead and ruin it by complaining that stuff's too violent, that
I mean that's the character. He's the Punisher. You know,
shooting people's. Yeah. And that just harkens me back to one of the scenes in Daredevil season 2, where he at the very start where he killed those Irish gangsters in the bar.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some dude's arm just like hanging on a doorknob or in a window
brutal.
or something like that?
Yeah. And so I get what they're doing, and I want it to be like a realistic take at the Punisher, but I just want there to be more action. He didn't have to be lopping guys' heads off, you know, just more fist fights and kind of more, you know.
Well, I also like it because they kind of set him up with a partner. Which I'm not through the first season yet, but I assume he's about to start working with.
Yeah, he is
the hacker dude. And I kind of feel like it's setting up, like I said, a springboard going forward. And I'm kind of glad that they're not going all out violence right away, because they did that once with a Punisher movie, and that's called Punisher Warzone. And I almost actually got up and walked out of that movie because I was like, this may be the Punisher, but this isn't the Punisher in the comic books, if that makes sense. This is we're going to go make a gritty, over-the-top, just not to point fingers, but an all-out just awful movie in terms of content and violence, and that movie is just not for anybody, in my frank opinion. But yeah, like you said, it's a real approach to the Punisher, and hopefully going forward we can get the real gritty
I hope
Punisher
so too.
that we saw in
I hope so too. All right, what else am I watching? I'm watching Runaways. It seems to be pretty good so far. I won't get too much into that. It's just a comic book show. I watched Justice League. Hulu.
Is that the one on Amazon?
Yeah. It's worth watching. It's worth checking out. It's interesting so far.
Hulu. Okay.
I've been watching The Orville, and I know some people hate it, but I've never watched I watched the reboot Star Trek. I really enjoyed The Orville, actually. It's really fun. It's funny, and there's some cool, you know, the spaceship designs are cool, and there's some funny parts, and I really enjoy it. You know, Seth MacFarlane's actually a pretty good dramatic actor. Apparently, he is.
He's a terrible human being.
Well, I also just watched Baby Driver, and I still love it. I watched it again, even though Kevin Spacey's in it. So, obviously, Thor Ragnarok was great. It was funny. It was heartfelt. But
well, we're at an hour and 23 minutes. Let's just sit on Thor for a hot minute.
Yeah, so, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed Thor. It was, I think, what they should have embraced from the beginning with Thor, and that he's a big, buff space god who thinks he's amazing. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you know, and they in this movie, they kind of embraced, it's kind of ridiculous. So let's make him a little bit funny, but let's also make some dramatic moments. And I thought some people maybe thought it was a bit stilted, that drama kind of between the comedic parts, but I thought it flowed pretty well, and the comedy was hilarious.
Still really triggered by how they pronounced Helya.
Is it supposed to pronounce Helya?
Yeah, it's Helya.
Oh, really? Okay.
At least in like actual mythology.
Oh, I thought it was just Hela.
In the actual Greek, there's a G, or the is
Norse.
it Greek? Yeah, in the Norse, there's a J in there.
Oh, okay.
So it's Helya.
Okay, so it's a draw. Yeah, okay. Oh well. What did you think of it?
I really liked it. Wasn't a huge fan of some of the humor. It got kind of too cheesy for me at times.
Well, you're wrong. Incorrect
Gosh,
opinion.
I'm sorry. I really liked how they did. Gosh, what is it? The World War Hulk part.
Yeah, yeah.
The cut together between that. Um, I thought it was great that we finally did get a Hulk that's not just there for smashing, and I felt like the humor he brought was more real
Right,
because
right.
it is the Hulk, yes, but it's the Hulk that can finally communicate.
Talking.
And now
Yeah.
that he can communicate, he's an idiot.
Yeah, yeah, kinda. Like he's like a 2-year-old, you know.
hmm Yeah, and I thought that brought a new whole life to the character. It's almost like
Yeah.
watching someone we'd not experienced before,
Right.
which made it almost a new character, which is great in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. They played off some really funny parts with the Hulk too. Like when he walks
Yeah.
out of the bath, he's like, "Oh,
hmm
never unsee that."
Yeah, and I like how they did bring how they made it so how he ended up on that planet was cool.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of what most people figured. He kind of jumped in through a wormhole, you know,
hmm
on the Quinjet, and so you didn't love it. Then you kind of thought the humor was a bit much.
Well, no, I as a whole I loved it. It was great.
Okay.
Like you said, it's what Thor should have been from the get go. But it was kind of one of the Guardians of the Galaxy too for me. The humor just fell really flat, really fast.
Okay. Oh, that's fair enough.
There, there
That's fair
were
enough.
there were a lot of funny parts. Don't get me wrong. It was hilarious, and I still think the British Rock dude is my favorite character of the entire movie.
Oh,
because
he's not British. That's the director. That's Taika Waititi. He's from New
oh,
Zealand.
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know
he's
that.
from New Zealand. He's
I
like, oh,
didn't.
there goes another one.
Yeah, he
This
was
is
probably my favorite part of the movie
this is
because
Doug.
he's just like, this is my rebellion,
Didn't
and
you print out enough flyers?
yeah, yeah. And then at the end, he thought Doug was dead, and Doug was not dead.
Oh, he's
Which
dead.
just,
Oh, Doug.
it's like, where's this guy's planet? He's like, oh, him? He's dead. I just brought him along.
Because I felt really bad.
Yeah.
Doug, Asgard will be a home to many alien species, to all people. Oh no, that's gone. That's gone. Dude, oh man.
And one of my favorite parts of the movie probably was at the very end when the guy finally came to bring the end to Asgard, and you see Hulk stand up on the bridge behind him, and you're like, oh crap, Hulk's about to do something stupid, and he proceeds to jump
Fight
through the air
Surtur.
and just punch him right in the face.
Yeah.
No problem, no questions asked, no regret, remorse, anything. Hulk just punches him in
And
the
Thor's
face.
like,
and
for once, could you just not smash?
Yeah, and the fact that it actually does damage to that guy
Yeah,
was
it's amazing.
impressive. It just shows the power of the Hulk.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that I love the part when he's like, he talks about how he turned into a snake, and then he's like, and then when I picked up the snake to admire it, he was like, it's me, and then he stabbed me. Dude, oh man, yeah, it's really good. Check it out if you haven't. Thor Ragnarok.
That's probably one of the few movies I'll be buying like immediately when it comes out on DVD. At least as of late.
Okay, cool. All right, well, obviously we'll be seeing other stuff. You know, stuff that comes out. Last Jedi. You know, Black Panther's coming out here in a couple months.
Yep.
Various movies. You know, that will be coming out. I'll probably see, not just superhero movies. I know
I'm
people
not really
get annoyed.
too keen on the docket of what's coming out soon. I'll have to take a look.
You know, there's a couple. Yeah, I'm not either. We'll try and get better at that.
Yeah, definitely.
And by that I
without a
mean
doubt.
I might look it up on Wikipedia, but probably
That's
won't.
exactly what I'm gonna do.
So,
But yeah, we'll like I said, in the next couple days, me and you'll sit down, take a half an hour, and just kind of talk through Infinity War. I don't want to bore people with.
yeah, maybe we
any
can kind of
more
run through the
that.
trailer, kind of see what we, you know, maybe make some predictions, what we think, what people want to see.
Some things that we may not notice the first watch, or
Right.
at least for
the
me,
first
the
15
first watch
watch
through.
throughs for me. Some of the things I
Yeah.
didn't notice the first 15 watch. Maybe I'll get it in the next 20. All right, well, let's go ahead and close out the show. Guys, you can find us on Facebook at MovieFellas. You can find us on Twitter on @MovieFellasPod. You can find us on iTunes at capital M, capital F, MovieFellas, and then capital P podcast. So that's MovieFellas Podcast on iTunes. You can shoot us an email, moviefellaspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear any topics or anything you want to shout out, you want to let us know, give us some sweet burns, some sweet memes. Last episode we got a good amount of listens to, which on the YouTube. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how many, but I noticed it and it was interesting. So I think it's because we had a guest on.
And wrapping up, I'm gonna check out actually you probably mentioned it on their podcast, which is much more popular than us. And people are like, wow, those guys suck.
These guys suck. They're not real movie critics. We're not. We'll never claim to be real movie critics. We're just guys who kind of like movies and we think they're good.
At some point, we're going to have to acknowledge the fact that we are movie critics.
You can acknowledge. I refuse.
Oh, I want to talk about something great. My Blade Runner review is at 52 views, which
that's
for
cool.
us is pretty dope. I know that's a really long review, but it was a lot to get through.
Cool.
But we know I do long form reviews because they're my jam. I like to get deep.
Your face.
This was funny.
I just pulled up your review, and the first face that you have on there is just you like really confused. You're like, I don't know how to start.
That was me really disgruntled because I was like, this. I sat there for a couple minutes like, how am I gonna start this? And I was like, I'm really pissed because I can't just go straight into just talking about the movie, because talking about the movie is spoiling the movie.
Right, exactly. That movie is really hard to kind of do that with.
Which I think I did a good job, other than
I really enjoyed it.
A couple spoilers here and there. So
yeah,
what can I do?
Don't watch. This is just a rule of thumb for people in general. If you don't want to know anything about a movie, don't watch a review, even if it's a non-spoiler review, because it's gonna make you think differently.
Something will be there will be a spoiler without it intending to be a spoiler in one way or another.
Yeah.
Or it'll, like Matt was saying, it'll set you up for a mindset about a movie which doesn't need it. So
right, absolutely, yeah. All right, well, like we said, moviefellaspod@gmail.com. You can shoot us an email if you want to. It's getting late. It's almost midnight. I mean, we're old men now, so we go to bed on time because we have actual jobs.
This is honestly the latest I've been up in months.
Yeah, it's the same with me, dude.
I'm usually in bed by at least 10.
Really? Wow.
And then asleep by like 10:45. So.
Yeah, I'm usually in bed by about 11. Let us know what time you go to bed. We'd love to hear it. Just
leave
the
it in the
exact
comments.
time,
Tell us how
your
old
routine that you do before you go to bed. You know, I like to have a glass.
Small
glass of juice.
Something happened to me. There was I think it was last maybe Tuesday, right after my grandfather's funeral, which sucked, obviously. But I was in bed by 8:30 that night. I was just so tired and exhausted. I'm like, I'm just gonna go lay down. I'm gonna mindlessly watch Gotham and just
fall asleep.
Do nothing.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been the episode. Wow, this actually was way shorter than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have Adam distracting us.
Yeah. And it's getting late, so I'm starting to get slap happy, which is a terrible thing that no one should ever experience.
Nah, dude, it's the best. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Share of it. We really appreciate it. Next month, we'll be hitting you up. Look for a podcast sometime before.
Let's shoot for mid-December.
Yeah, mid-December instead of late, like we usually do. 16th, so maybe. Check that out. Also, sometime next week, Case and I'll hopefully do like a joint maybe video review. Talking about the Avengers trailer, talking about some cool stuff. So be on the lookout for that. We might do live, maybe not, probably not. Who knows? Anyway,
it depends on if we can get Skype to work like we did for the first.
And if we could,
that didn't turn out very well. With the audio
I'd love
either.
to do if we could do it jointly live on Facebook. That way, people could kind of bust in and out when they wanted to. Anyway. We'll see. Yeah, so we'll see you next month. Well, we'll see you this week, but we'll see you in full next month. Adam will be back. But as always, guys,
you better freaking be.
I'm saying. As always, guys,
if not,
thanks for listening and gladiate it up. We'll see you next month.
Love you.
Bye.